Judge Lauren Lake's most ruthless moments on paternity court.
Listen,
Tell me
I have a list of text messages. Just to give you an example of what I've had to deal with.
Take this from me because I mean it earnestly. If you want this man to be involved in his kid's life, at least sometime present yourself as a person somebody would want to be around.
Because of a genetic disease, this mother believes the defendant is her child's father.
Ms. Renfro, you claim you are 100% certain that the defendant is the father of your 6-month-old son, Kendall. You say Kendall was born with a serious medical condition and believe it was genetically passed down by the defendant. And that's why today's paternity results are critical. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
But in response to this paternity claim, Mr. Tuzzi had to say this.
One time, and that was it, and I realized the baby just don't look nowhere near like me.
So you admit you have not stepped up to the plate for the baby because you truly don't believe this child is your child?
Yes, Your Honor. The baby looks way too white.
Okay.
I'm white.
Listen.
Despite being offended by the too white remark, the judge proceeded to jump into how the affair started.
Give me the nature of this relationship, Ms. Renfro.
Yeah, we started out friends, like we met through mutual friends, and it was sexual, and we talked about being in a relationship, and then when I found out I was pregnant, I took 7 pregnancy tests.
You discover you're pregnant.
Yes.
And at that point, you say Mr. Tuzzi just backed off.
Yeah, there was no contact after that. Ignored my calls, text messages, blocked me.
Mr. Tuzzi even accused Ms. Renfro of sleeping around without providing any evidence.
She had sex with before, and I know this for a fact.
5 months prior to...
What did the text messages say? Which indicated that you may not be the biological father of a child and you can't remember none of them?
It's not that I don't remember, I just didn't know what
He was
said to
being
her.
nosy and trying to find something he couldn't
Well, do you
find.
remember being in a sexual relationship with Ms. Renfro?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
He even gave the court some other unconvincing arguments.
The only reason why I said it didn't my baby is because I was with this girl 5 years and we was having unprotected sex and I didn't get her pregnant. About 2 years ago, me and my good friend, we had sex and she got pregnant. She tried claiming the baby was mine and she got a DNA test and it wasn't my baby.
But you do understand that despite all of that, it has zero relevance.
But Miss Renfro was persistent about her claim of paternity because of the genetic disease we mentioned before.
Issue with his stomach. He was born with what you call Hirschberger's disease, and it's passed through genetic. None of my other kids have it. I had sex with him, got pregnant, and my son had to have surgery at 6 days old. He had to have part of his intestine removed. It can be passed through your mom, your dad, it could be from anybody in your family. It don't have to be necessarily from you.
While Miss Renfro was explaining her side, Mr. Tuzzi dropped the birth certificate bomb.
I have another guy signing the birth certificate.
Because he's been there, like he took on that role. That was his choice.
Mr. Tuzzi, do you have this disease, Hirschsprung's? Do you have this?
No, Your Honor.
Does anyone in your family have issues with their intestinal tract?
No, Your Honor.
However, all the judge wanted to know was, why isn't he there for the baby?
Haven't you been there? I mean, this child is 6 months old. He has had to overcome medical issues.
The baby don't look nowhere near like me. If the baby was mine, it'd be a little more darker than what it is.
Judge Lauren didn't even like Miss Renfro's sudden attitude shift in the second half of the trial.
So you say stuff happened?
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you testify to what happened
I'm saying what happened.
So what happened?
I messed with
How many
somebody.
men were you sleeping with when you conceived your child?
1.
Testify to that.
1.
Okay.
There was a dude before I got pregnant, but we did use a condom. It was just once. And
Okay.
It was way before I got
And what
pregnant.
planet do you live on where condoms are 100% effective?
Looking at how both sides were trying to get each other instead of actually caring about the baby, Judge Lauren called for DNA results.
He says that now.
And Ms. Renfro, have you prepared yourselves for the result either way?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Jerome, let's get the truth. Mr. Tuzzi, you are not the father.
Yes!
Oops.
Told you!
Oops.
But what happened after the result pushed the paternity judge to the edge.
I'm okay with that.
Do you know who is?
Yes, ma'am. If he wasn't the father, then yes, ma'am, I know.
Hold on, no.
You asked, I answered.
No, hold on, because you done got on my nerves now. Because you got a smart mouth, but you're not smart enough to know when you're lying. Sitting up trying to pin a baby on a man.
I wasn't
Hold on,
pinning a
I'm
baby.
talking now.
The defendant appeared to be looking for a way to kick the Fuller family out of her life.
Mr. Fuller, you and your mother are here today to prove that you fathered the defendant's 2-year-old daughter, Milani.
Yes, ma'am.
You say Ms. Nelson led you to believe that you were her daddy and build a strong relationship, but now wants to rip her away from you.
Yes, ma'am.
When the judge asked how Miss Nelson was so certain about Milani not being a Fuller, her response was this.
So, Ms. Nelson, what are your intentions today if the DNA results prove you're correct?
They will never see my daughter again, and their time just has expired with my child.
That's kind of harsh considering they have a relationship with her, isn't it?
Barely.
But Mr. Fuller told the court that he was manipulated by his ex-girlfriend into false parenthood.
I got a bond with Milani. She'll bring her hair to me. She'll let her stay the night and everything for about 3 months.
Not 3 months. I'm positive.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Have you allowed Milani to spend the night with
I
them?
have allowed her to spend the night with them.
We live in Fort Lauderdale. She stay in Melbourne. We have this baby 2 to 3 months.
You guys had her for
whenever
a few
she
weeks.
need us
No, we
to
don't.
leave.
You had her for a few weeks.
After the back and forth about who used who, Judge Lauren gave the young mother her peace of mind.
Miss Nelson, as much as Miss Fuller is off the hook right now, I really can't blame her because if I thought I had a grandchild, been in a month at my house, whatever, and then all of a sudden somebody tells me it's not my grandchild, I might be off the hook too.
However, putting her emotions aside, the reality TV judge gave space to both sides to show their evidence.
These are text messages. We made a beautiful little angel. I love you, Milani. Then Mr. Fuller says, I know BM, our baby, very beautiful. BM is
Hey, mama and baby daddy.
Devontae Fuller sends a message, beautiful BM. And then Miss Nelson sends, thanks, BD. Sounds like to me you're communicating about the baby like it's his.
After another verbal ruckus, Judge Lauren had a witness brought in who believed that Nelson riffed on all of this confusion because of her own selfish motives.
Do you believe Mr. Fuller is Milani's biological father?
Yes.
Why do you believe your daughter cannot even believe that's a possibility that he's her biological father? What do you think this is about?
The other guy. When her and the other guy gets mad, Mr. Fuller's baby. When her and Mr. Fuller's not speaking, then the other guy's baby.
This revelation was the final nail in Lauren's endurance coffin. And after it, she said this.
There is a part of me that truly wants to understand your position, but I can't get anything from you. I mean, they are over there.
She wanted a relationship with my child. I was not even gonna let her be a part. She was like, I don't care if this is not my grandbaby. I want a relationship with this child. She knew there was a possibility of someone else.
However, in order to fully discover the truth, DNA results had to be obtained, which devastated the Fuller family.
Mr. Fuller, you are not her father.
But wait, I knew it. I knew it.
Take this baby from us.
You should apologize regardless.
It's not just my fault. You played a part in this too because it was your fault for going behind my back, leading them on to believe that. When I knew.
You was there when I called
you. I knew, and I told you who the father was.
This episode of Paternity Court started with a woman named Fala Nazarene suing her ex-boyfriend for being a deadbeat dad.
You are here today to sue your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Rami, for being an absentee father and a deadbeat dad. You say he has caused you and your 2 children much pain and suffering by never stepping up as their father.
Mr. Rami, on the other hand, told the court that Miss Nazarene is not as naive as she appears to be.
She's not the most easy person to deal with. There are definitely signs that were before she got pregnant.
When you say she's not the easiest person to get along with, what do you mean specifically?
Complete irrationality. The decision to be overtly angry, volatile, and violent for things that I consider to be less than important.
However, when Judge Lauren asked Miss Nazarene about her ex's statement, she defended herself like this.
Absolutely not true. He and I have had one incident where he stole $500 from me and had me and my baby in a car that had a steering column that failed. For the time that we were together, we were artists, and I was young, he was young. He was my best friend. We tried to reconcile. He never, to this day, he's not kept a job.
After Miss Nazarene, things got more interesting as the smirk-faced Mr. Rami refused to follow his ex's story.
She decided to move to the other side of the country without talking to me about it.
Have you provided steady support?
Well, it depends on on what steady is. No, I haven't sent a check every 2 weeks. No, I haven't. But when I've had a job, I have sent help. Whenever she's hit me up and asked for money, if I was able to
Yes, every once in a while he sent $100.
Oh, but baby mama was ready to let things go this easily.
My brother's oldest child and only son just died. He just turned 21, died in his birthday month.
And I also called you when you told me that to let you know I had a $700 electric bill and your son needed to go to summer school so that he could graduate on time. I don't care about your brother's son. You don't care about your own son. Why would I care about your brother's son? Keep it 100. Keep it 100.
Though Judge Lauren sympathized with Miss Nazarene, a particularly heinous text message displayed in the courtroom caused Lauren to explode in the middle of the trial.
Now, are these the text messages that you submitted to the court?
Yes.
Can you read them to me?
We are sure happy to know your sorry, trifling family cares more about the dead than the living. And I will never forgive you, Monty. You will get exactly what you evil people deserve.
Those words were pretty harsh.
And I meant every one of them.
Yep, this duo gave the viewers a good lesson in how not to stoop too low.
Let me have another if somebody let me talk, they might learn something. Ms. Nazarene is difficult. Did I ask you to let me finish?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. She's difficult, but I'm a mother, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't want to see the day that the father of my child tries to come up short for my baby. It's not gonna happen.
But now it was time for the judge's verdict.
Family counseling in this court will provide the resource because my concern is that out of love and protection for your kids, you are doing the exact opposite of what you should be doing. You're angry and you're trying to protect them, but you're really pushing away the person that they've stated to you. Nazarene, there's more to being a father than just the money.
Warning, if you dupe men into false paternity, it might cause Judge Lauren to crack up in the courtroom. In this next trial, Powell came in with doubt about the paternity of his son Lucas, as his wife cheated on him in just the first 3 months of marriage.
You claim your wife, Ms. Burns, cheated on you with the man standing next to her after only 3 months of marriage.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, then she left you to live with him, and now you say the paternity of your child is in question.
Yes, Your Honor.
Listening to this shocking revelation by Mr. Powell, Judge Lauren turned to Miss Burns for an explanation.
Mr. Powell had a job and then he'd lose his job. He had a job and he'd lose his job. I figured everything was put off on me. I have 3 other children other than the baby I provide for. I felt like all the burden was pushed off onto me.
You don't provide for your children, your mother does.
I do provide for my children. I pay child support.
How do you pay child support if you don't have a job yourself?
Though the judge was enraged by the whole situation, she tried to focus on the pregnancy at hand.
Ms. Burns, how soon after that did you find out you were pregnant?
Almost 2 months after I had separated from Mr. Powell.
So when you were pregnant, did you tell both men you were pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor. I told Mr. Jones. He reacted differently than I expected.
What was that?
I was
pissed off. I wasn't very happy.
And Mr. Jones, the other potential father, reacted to the situation like this.
You know, he hasn't been a father to his 6-year-old child that she already had with him.
Well, that's because I didn't know I didn't have a child until 6 years later.
So when Lucas was born, who was at the hospital?
My mother was.
You never got a call?
I never got a call, never got a text, I ain't nothing.
We're still having sex, Your Honor.
All this time?
Yes.
To make sense of the situation, Judge Lauren asked Miss Byrne if she was sleeping with her ex-husband, to which she lied.
I have proof that she is lying right
What
now.
proof do you have?
Your Honor, I took a lie detector test.
You took a lie detector test?
To show you. Your Honor, I do have the results.
Jerome, please hand me those results. The question you were asked, are you lying when you said you had sex with Ashley Burns in the last 30 days? You answered no.
Being caught in a lie on live television is a big thing, but Miss Byrne had only this to say about it.
Have you had sex with Mr. Powell?
Nope. I don't care what that paper says. Whatever. I mean, if he wants to ruin somebody else's life because his is miserable.
Oh, so is it your suggestion that he's trying to ruin your life because he's miserable because he doesn't have you?
Yes.
The unusual and surprising fact made both men take the same side in the courtroom.
So, Ms. Burns, tell me today, who do you want to be with? You got half the children calling him daddy, the other half calling him daddy. He loves you. He looked like he about through with you.
I want to be with Mr. Jones, but if he chooses otherwise, then so be it, and I'll go on without ever. I mean, I don't need either one of them. I choose to.
So after this one-of-a-kind situation, the judge straight up asked Miss Byrne, why did she do this to these men? and her answer caused this.
I'm not doing anything.
Oh, no.
No, I'm not. So I
Just don't
don't
want
need
you.
nobody. And you don't have to want me. Like I said, I'll pick up, I'll move on, and I'll go on with my life.
That's a good idea.
Mr. Jones, do Mr. Powell a favor and please enlighten him as to what you have learned today.
Just a hug, bro.
In respectful words.
But the results still had to be shown.
Mr. Jones, you are his father. What is this that you perpetrating on these two men? I mean, you just got them all messed up in the head. Mr. Jones thought he was the father, then he heard you cheated, then he didn't want to be the father, but he is the father. Mr. Powell thought he was the father, but he's not the father, but he wants to be with you, and
I don't know now.
Mr. and Mrs. McClung started as friends, but when they were married, Mr. McClung was unsure if he was fathering his biological child.
To your now husband that he is the biological father, daughter Desire. You claim this paternity issue has fractured and you need today's results to repair the break in your family.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. McClung, you say you had no knowledge of Desire for the first 2 years of her life. Mrs. McClung is desperate to prove you are the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Though Mrs. McClung admitted to messing with another guy just once, she was sure that her baby Desire was Mr. McClung's, and the woman even brought evidence.
Please tell the court what was going on at that time.
This is the 2 weeks me and Chris was together for 2 weeks.
So the green is the sex fest.
September.
That's in August.
Right, this is August. This is me and Chris. September 5th, I had sex with someone else one time.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had sex with that other person with no protection?
Yes, ma'am.
After this, Mr. McClung told the court how he found out about the baby.
By this time, I want to know if she's mine, so I could be in her life. I go to the car, I say, be honest with me, this my baby? She said no. Well, can I walk around the neighborhood and ask?
Actually, he didn't ask.
But the elephant in the room was, how did they end up getting married if they had both given up on each other?
He unblocked me on Facebook and started inboxing me, asking
Now, you shouldn't have to have no baby to get unblocked. That is ridiculous. But okay,
so
you get unblocked, and then what happened?
We were talking. He wants to know for sure that that's his daughter. You know what I'm saying? And I can understand that with everything that's done happened. I told him then, Chris, if you're that serious about it, get a DNA test.
So the last DNA test thing popped up in the trial, after which Mr. McClung's cousin was asked to get to the podium.
Mr. McClung just testified that after he thought Desire was his, you then had some information for him.
She's out of town, and I end up going to the apartments that she stay in because my friend stayed over there. And I end up seeing the baby and her and another dude outside. And they was hugged up and kissing, and Desire was called Daddy.
To get a deeper perspective on Desire's evidence, a doctor was brought in.
Ms. McClung has presented evidence that she read that overbites were a genetic. Is that hereditary?
It can be, yes, it can be. It's a recessive trait, just like hair or nails or anything. Overbite can be a genetic trait, yes.
It can be,
yes.
All right. Can they be attributed to any other factor as well?
Absolutely, it could be tongue thrusting. Sitting on a bottle too long would cause an overbite.
When the judge heard about how Mrs. McClung had Desire calling another man daddy, she sort of lost it.
If Chris cared that much, he wouldn't have just left and just not even had a piece of contact information for him. The person that I was talking to at that time, that was all Desire knew. That's who was there.
Well, at the end of the day, this is a recipe for a paternity question.
Right.
This is why we do this.
After that was said, it was time for the paternity determination.
Mr. McClung, you are not the father.
It's cool, because no matter what, she got me. They all got me, regardless.
Thank you for that, Mr. McClung.
Can I go see my baby?
Oh, honey. Ms. McClung,